Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thankfully, welcome back to the Daredevil Born Again review series. This is season 2, episode 1. I am the do-gooder, Travis Snell. I'm joined by,
Hey, Dylan Moss here.
yes, the original Netflix boys for the, it's a good old reunion going on here. But, Taylor and Kirkland both had different things come up, so they will be on in the next weeks to fall. We got about, I think it's 7 weeks of Daredevil. We're going to talk about the very end two things. They reviewed Wonder Man and they dated this Punisher special, and I got a synopsis for you, Dylan. Some crazy stuff happening to Frank. Just wait till you hear the synopsis. But
Okay, cool.
obviously, the next few weeks, it'll be either us and a collection of the other 4. Sometimes all of us 4. Hopefully, we'll see. But for the next 8 to 7 weeks, it'll be all of us are talking about spoilers for Born Again. For this episode, we'll give like a quick overall. But as we've talked about in the town hall, that we ditched the non-spoilers for every episode. But for this one, because it is a premiere, we'll give a little backstory, a little non-spoilers, and then right into spoilers. But we will give you a warning. But after this, every episode will be spoilers on, and then of course we will be doing the Punisher, what is it, One Last Kill. So that's a special presentation. And if you like what we got going on, man, we're just for years in the past decade overflowing with Daredevil. Me and Dylan reviewed the original series, as I quoted the Netflix boys back in the day. We'd watch in a whole weekend. Do it last year. Kirkland and Taylor for the first time watched that show. Then we also reviewed every single episode of Born Again. And then currently on the lead up to the Punisher special, we Taylor and Kirkland, because they've never seen the Netflix show, they're reviewing those. And then we're also reviewing the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, the 04 Punisher, and the 09 Punisher. So that's all on Patreon on the Phase 2 Nut feed coming up. All those episodes will be out before May 12th. We were kind of waiting for a date. They were going to be sprinkled out a little bit more, but before that Punisher retrospective, you'll have all 5 episodes there. So lots to look forward to. Awesome. More stuff I can promote. We'll talk about that later. Let's get right into this because Daredevil, obviously a big thing here at GV. I feel like we were very excited. I feel like Taylor and Kirkland got very excited on the build-up. And then obviously for a bunch of reasons, everyone knows, we've talked about it to death as far as Daredevil Season 1, where they shot a bunch, and then they stopped and reshot a bunch, and it was kind of a Frankenstein monster-esque sort of season. Remember, not Frankenstein, Kirkland, that's the doctor. But a season that I feel like we all had some highs, but then some big lows or some mixes. So I feel like to give an example, we do our Golden Geeks and we pick our 3 most anticipated MCU projects of the year. This season didn't even get on there, Dylan. We picked what was it, Doomsday, Spider-Man, and the Punisher special presentation, because we all had some, I think, trepidation going in. Luckily this year it is all the same creators and writers. So it's everybody, from start and finish, one group of people, one gang of people. A bunch of the stars are back. Looks like Everett Wool has a big role this season. So Dylan, obviously it's a bit more hopeful, but now seeing episode 1 of this new season, is the hope rising? Is it middling? Or is it nosediving? Where are you right now? Obviously just episode 1, just non-spoilers to start off, but then after we're going to spoil. So yeah, where are you after this episode?
Yeah, it seems, I would say the first episode was definitely a bit of a slow burn. Of course, you do get like a couple action sequences, and there is some more bigger things that are happening, a couple spicy things for sure. But I do feel like...
Whose boat was it?
What's that?
Whose boat was it,
Oh, yeah. That's a large boat to have a question about, too. But, yeah, I feel like so there's a lot of things that are cooking, getting ready, but I also feel like, with some of these shows, there's so many plot lines. There's an A plot, B, C, D, E, F, and I feel like this episode, it was trying to at least introduce all of them and kind of reintroduce all of them and get them back to where, catch you up, although it feels like it kind of picks up exactly where we left off last time. It's like a direct continuation. So because of that, it does feel like it was stretched a little bit thin. Like I assume next episodes we're going to get more focused time on like certain storylines, push things through, and get little one-off episode arcs. Whereas this kind of felt like that introduction, that appetizer before the rest of the main course, and hopefully a dessert at the end. So I enjoyed it. There's definitely some good stuff in here. The episode ended in a way that's pretty exciting as well. But yeah, I think overall nothing too crazy so far. But off to a good start. Which sometimes these Disney Plus shows don't have that. So that's at least better than nothing.
Yeah, I think I'm right with you where I'd echo that, because even last year, right, I feel I had maybe some minor issues, but I remember enjoying I think I had some overall, some overarching issues, but I remember the episode itself, enjoying the pilot. That's when they reshot, but that didn't foretold the rest of the season, right, because it was kind of iffy. So I don't think this is I'm with you where I liked it. I think this is definitely more of a setup. I am curious Next week we're getting the double of the 2 and 3, and they're doing that
Right.
because I actually don't even know why they're doing that, because it's Disney Plus. You could just really
Do they have to do that before Punisher special releases? Is that why?
I guess so, because that's what happens as Daredevil ends. Then the week after, the Punisher special comes
Okay.
out.
But yeah, wonder why they picked those 2 episodes. That seems interesting.
My theory is, I bet episode 2 is another episode like this where maybe it's a bit of a slow burner, and I feel like what's going to happen is they didn't maybe want 2 slow burners back to back with 1 and 2. Where my theory is, okay, episode 2 is maybe a bit more of a slow burner, but then 3 is going to be something Han heavy or cliffhanger, or like when Jones comes in and then they're like, okay, now I'm rocking.
Right.
So that-
Yeah. Good
that-
call. Yeah.
yeah, that's why I feel like that's going to be happening. So we'll be curious next week to see with episode 2. But I think that's always a good thing where if there's a slower one, they should do that, right? But no, I think I'm right in line with you where this doesn't automatically make me go, okay, season's, going to be perfect. It's going to be old school Daredevil. Here we go. But it's a good start. I'm liking all the stories. I feel it's doing so far a good job of balancing. I think sometimes my complaint with these shows, and that's all these type of shows, when it's Daredevil, and CW did this a lot where, okay, the show's called Daredevil, but then sometimes I feel like Matt Murdock is, sure, he's the main character, but he might take quite a bit of a backseat, right? Where it did feel like he was the main character. We would see scenes of Cherry or other people alone, but I always felt like, okay, Matt would be at them, and then they kind of go do something else, and then back to Matt. That's my thing of, I'm not saying you can't have a show with no side characters, right? That'd be dumb, but you still want at its core to be Daredevil, and that's what I feel this is doing a good job, where I feel like with the last season, because it was kind of that weird reboot quel kind of thing they were doing, they're introducing a lot of characters,
Yeah.
and I think ones we didn't really enjoy either, so at least that's, luckily we already know them, so I think that's good. The bounce has been good. I'm liking the storylines they've introduced so far. I think, it ends in a very intriguing way, a way that I'm not mixed on as far as a positive or negative. I just don't know. I'm going to have to hit you with it, how I feel about the certain direction they're going to go with said character. I still think there's one thing from last season that's hanging on this season that needs to go. The faster, the sooner. Maybe I'm heartless, and we'll get into it. I think you know what I'm talking about. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, so far I'd say, like, as a start, 2 thumbs up. Now let's see what the middle is and the end is and everything. I think they were smart to start with an action scene. I think it's always good with Daredevil, which minor spoilers, but they did. So yeah, so far I'm excited to be back in the Daredevil world, and I'm hoping we can, if it could stay this consistent and then a little bit better, then I think that's already a big win over last season, and then I can kind of be actively excited, because luckily they are filming Daredevil season 3 right now. So it's a good thing where it's not even like, oh, is that happening? So my hope is that they like this team, they like the direction, they were happy with it, and obviously we talked about how last year the numbers for this show were a little bit lighter than I think they wanted, but with Wonder Man, it kind of seems like maybe that's not the be-all end-all right now. I think it's probably more that shows that are cheaper, shows that aren't like,
that makes sense. You're even talking about like the weird kind of marketing for this season in particular,
Yes.
and so it seems like, are you doing this to get more people to subscribe to Disney Plus, or how exactly are you trying to pitch this thing?
Yeah, or is it just to salivate the people that are already there, right? Like, no, like,
I mean, it got me to resubscribe. I haven't been on Disney Plus since
right?
probably last season, so I'm in there.
And they have those pocket of people, but it's like, is there anyone that's never watched Daredevil subscribing? That's probably not, right? It's probably people like
If
yourself.
I didn't
that-
do this podcast, I would not know this season was coming out, just because
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything about it.
Yeah, so yeah, that's our non-spoiler thoughts. So we'll get into spoilers right now. And we're back. I didn't say do ad break, but we can talk more stuff later because we are only 8 minutes in. So we'll talk about Patreon and all the feed stuff going on. It's just juicy. Lots of good stuff. Thank you, everybody. We're doing good stats-wise, doing better than last year, which is always a good thing. So we very much appreciate everyone that tunes in. If this is your first time, yeah, we do this for most popular shows. The boys coming up, we're doing that. We're going to have one for Lanterns. Is there any, I guess, whenever we get a date for Vision Quest, we'll be doing that, and X-Men 97 and Spider-Man. So if you like the comic book TV show reviews, we got you covered. Like I said, it's weekly, and it's kind of me, Dylan, or the other fellows. But Dylan, where should we start in the spoiler section now that we can? So if anyone's not seen it, that's our overalls bounce now. But if where's something you're going to start that is more the spoilery side?
Yeah, let me start with over in Fisk's camp. Obviously we start out with the kind of tugboat. It's not really a tugboat. It's a big ass freight. Why can't I remember the name of what this big boat is called?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember either. No, because I was
It's a
gonna say
big
Northern
boat that
Star,
ships
that's someone else.
cargo, a
Yeah.
cargo ship, something
Yeah.
like that.
Stick with that.
Good action scene. I guess the 2 action sequences we get in this. I mean, I think one of the things that's fun about Daredevil as a character and the way the choreography is done in particularly the Daredevil show, and it's probably comes down to the budget that you mentioned. It's just like the smaller enclosed spaces. I feel like most often big Marvel fights are like, in cities and you're smashing into buildings and it's a huge scale. And so it's fun to have like very like claustrophobic fights. Obviously that goes back to like the iconic hallway scenes and whatnot, but
Yes.
that action scene starts out good. But I guess I wanted to ask you what's going on with who's the actor who plays Shaggy and is this new character in this season?
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah. So is this like a comic book guy that you're familiar with, this character? Do you kind of have suspicions of where this is going without spoiling things for me?
Well, luckily, I think I'm safe. I think right now, as far as we know as the viewers, that I think he is a new character. There could always be a chance that he's inspired by somebody or turns out to be somebody.
An amalgam of two characters.
Yeah, but it's not anyone right now where it's like, oh, just wait, this is going to be somebody. I think right now it's just a dude. Like, I think they could do something, but I don't also think it's going to be like, oh, and I'm Dr. Fear or something like that. People thought it was Dr.
I'm
Fear.
Muse too.
Yeah, there's a Scarecrow equivalent in the Daredevil universe. A lot of people thought he was that, and maybe it could be, but I don't think he is anybody. And if he is, maybe it's someone that's like a minor character. But let me do if I do a little backstory.
I was kind of stricken about how different of a character he appears to be within that particular clan of people. Just in terms of him being like a bit more silly, a bit more quirky. He's like coming in the room a little bit late and he's like eating his food and he's not really like paying attention. And he's not just like under Fisk's thumb the whole time. And he obviously has like some power and some sway and he's able to get that governor guy to immediately. I was kind of hoping we'd maybe get like an episode or something of Fisk having to be under what was the word? Under some oversight, but they're like
oversight,
no. Within like a minute, they're like, oh no, you're good.
problem.
You can do whatever you want again.
Yeah.
But yeah, he obviously has a lot of power, but he's a character I don't know who he is, and he doesn't seem to be attached to government in any way. So he's some sort of criminal underworld ringleader boss kind of guy. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm intrigued to see where we go with this. And this is an actor who I probably haven't seen him in anything since Scooby-Doo as a kid, so it's fun to see him in here. And I'm curious to see where this character goes.
Did you ever see Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie?
I never did, no.
Okay, don't worry about it. He's in there, but yeah, don't worry about it. I looked even the character that has named Charles and that's in Daredevil is like a nothing. Like had a couple things in an arc that was just like a junkie or something. So unless they're pulling the wool over our eyes, because again, back in the day they did do that with I can't remember what her fake name was, but remember Catherine Hahn was something Arkness or something like that, but she ended up being Agatha. That was the whole thing. Yeah. That the whole time everyone's like, it's Agatha. Like we kind of figure that out. Where this is like, if it's someone that is a code, it's not like an obvious like, oh, there's all these signs. I think he is just an original character. I think Daredevil, you can do that because he looks like he's not a fixer per se, but kind of he looks like, because I kind of forgot that they had this port, right, that for some reason we thought was kind of unbelievable, but still they had this port that they can illegally it's not technically owned by New York or something, and they can illegally or not even illegally, they can legally transport weapons and bad goods there because they have like no what is that jurisdiction over that area, right? So that's, I guess the way I'm taking it is he's just kind of a fixer for the people that use that with Kingpin. Obviously they're kind of viewing that, hey, a boat just went down, probably with millions of weapons, gear, whatever it may be, and Fisk kind of seemed more mad about it just being Daredevil, right? He didn't even seem mad about the guns or anything. Just like, oh, this devil, like, seems that he's back, right? So I take him, he's just kind of like this fixer, and I am interested because I think Matthew Lillard is a very fun actor. I think he's very chaotic. I think he's one of those guys that I wish he kind of blew up more. I feel like he has a chemistry similar to like a Nick Cage or John Travolta, where it's just Matthew Lillard, right? No one else could be Matthew Lillard and kind of bring that energy to him. So he brings something erratic to this character that looks like he's, with the office people, with the superiors, but he's a bit more frantic, right? And I loved their dinner conversation of, oh, no, I didn't mean to offend you. And Fisk, right, but you did offend her. And like that was a good kind of very abrasive and kind of talking down to Vanessa, which we know Fisk doesn't like, but at the same time, like you said, it seems like he's not higher ranking than Fisk, but it's not like a guy it seems like he can just take out right away, right? He might be tied to some other stuff. So I think that's always good when Fisk has someone above him, because especially last season, it feels like no one's above him now, right? With the law, he's the mayor, the superheroes are on the run. So it's good to have this guy. I'm not sure where he's going to factor in I could see it both ways, if he's just working with Fisk, or maybe he's a guy that would double cross Fisk to kind of for business,
Could be,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know which, or he could just die, right? So that's the thing. I hope this character is a good addition, because I think last year we suffered from a lot of build up to Muse, and I think we were all thought, oh, this could be a good addition to kind of Daredevil's rogue, and it kind of went nowhere, right? I think with Matthew Lillard, at least for the acting wise, can give some fun scenes there, but I also
Yeah.
want the character to mean something and not just
Yeah. Do you think he'll be in all these episodes a little bit at least, or is he just gonna like pop in every once in a while?
If this season is 8 episodes, I'm gonna say he's in 5 to 6. They might be
Okay.
smaller scenes, but I feel like with that setup, when they said, "Oh, can you give a call?" and he said, "Oh, well, I'll just go there. I need the miles anyways." He flew out to be in New York, right? So I feel like it'd kind of weird if he just popped up and went away, unless it was kind of a, because obviously they're filming season 3. Maybe he is just like alluding to him, and maybe they take care of Fist this season, and he's like the big bad or a big bad in season 3, right? I don't think that. I do think Fisk is getting taken care of this season, because I don't think you can do Mayor Fisk for too long. Like I love that he didn't lose last season, but I also think eventually it has to run its course. And we've talked about this with Spider-Man. It is always gonna be weird if Spider-Man's run around and all this bad stuff is happening and he don't care, right? I know it's
Right.
the MCU and a lot of times that doesn't happen, but that's when it's like, oh, where's Thor? Well, he's on a different planet. Spider-Man literally lives in New York, right? So all these people that are getting these anti-vigilante task force, he should be swinging around helping. You know, it shouldn't just be Matt.
Yeah,
and
Spidey
Karen.
would come in and be like, "Oh, this ship's going down. I gotta help bring it back up."
Yeah, today, nah, he's doing nothing. But so yeah, I'm excited for the potential of him. Again, it's potential, because maybe at the end of the season we'll go, oh, they really did nothing with him. They got a fun actor, which we've talked about many Disney Plus or Marvel stuff, right? Where there's a very fun actor and they do nothing with him, right? Like look at Giancarlo in Brave New World. Giancarlo is an amazing actor. Sidewinder, not an amazing character, right? Amazing actor, great character. It does not make. So
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
we'll see. Do you think? What do you think his survival chances for this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you mentioned, that dinner scene between them, the tension there was really interesting. Where he's like, "Hey, we got to do this job, but then we got to kill all the people who
Yeah.
do this job." And Fisk was adverse to that, which is almost surprising. I thought he's kind of disposable with his people to some extent. But I mean, I guess I guess that helps with the mayor image. You can't just be risking things like that. He's trying to take fewer risks as he accrues more power, I suppose. But to me, that seemed like maybe that was going to be part of their disagreement, and maybe somehow Fisk will accumulate more power by like sharing with these workers that like, oh, this guy was just going to kill you, but I'll take you in and take you into my side or something. Now, I don't know. It seems like he just uses random people from around the world who have no identity, essentially. So I don't know if that'll actually be a thing long term. But I feel like already I can see that there's some tension there, and Fisk is going to want to take him out, and maybe that gets him into hot water. But I don't know. I don't see like this other criminal faction coming in and that being like the downfall of Fisk. I feel like we're more focused on Daredevil and other characters that are going to come together to rise up against him. I don't know if that faction will really come into play. So I think maybe I'll predict that he has a bit of a smaller role in this show overall. But I would like to be wrong about that, because yeah, I did like his performance, and again, I feel like he did shake up the chemistry of like the people in that office. That was a bit more lively than some of those scenes have been, particularly in season 1. I do like the other guy who, like the British guy who was going off and did that hit. Yeah. I thought he had a good gravitas this episode, so it was good to see him back.
He was good, and that office scene was interesting, because when he came in, Fisk looked like almost very happy. He was there like, oh yeah, another ace in my hole. But then, like you said, the dinner scene was a very different dynamic. So again, maybe he thought it was just going to be this guy coming in like, oh, he's completely with me, and him kind of rocking the boat a little bit. Again, I don't know. I think he's going to survive. I just could also just see him being a minor role that maybe when Fisk is at his wit's end, he kind of makes the final blow to like save face. It's not like kill him, but like if they turn him in or something like that. Like
maybe he tries to like pin it on this guy or something.
Yeah, or vice versa, right? That he pins it on Fisk. I think either way they could turn on each other that way. So I'm not sure, because I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, Vanessa's always a factor, right? She's the one that got Foggy killed last year by hiring Bullseye.
Yeah, she didn't really have anything of her own in this episode.
No.
Maybe that's one of the. I wonder how much of her, because last season she kind of had her own storyline, and then obviously there was also the Fisk stuff, but she didn't really get that introduction here. So I wonder if she's going to take a bit of a backseat this season, or if they just didn't have time for that in episode 1 because there were so many other things going on.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're on therapy now. It looks like they're still happy that way, which is good. And that is the one thing, my non-spoilers, and I don't think anyone will disagree, I think just has to go. Heather, man. I've said this before. I don't think the actress is bad. It's just a curious case of, it feels so kind of off to the side where all the Fist stuff is making sense, all the Daredevil stuff is making sense. And again, that's where the season could prove to be better than last because maybe this Heather stuff will come in. I imagine what's going to happen is she just gets pushed to her limit and finally cracks and helps Daredevil or the cops or somebody. I think it's odd where we all talked about last year where her turn to the Fist side was very underwritten, underbaked. And I get it. Of course, you're supposed to care for the humans. But in this world where, swordsman, she's falsifying evidence against him or his testimony, right? Mm-hmm. And we're also getting these PTSD flashbacks or whatever visions of Muse following her around. I just don't know, maybe it sounds as a bad human for me, but I just don't know why I'm supposed to care about her being under this trauma when she is actively hurting other people that are, swordsman, you can argue how innocent he is, but she's probably hurting other innocent people that were just trying to be superheroes, right? Or she's even in the cause. So I guess I just don't know what I'm supposed to take from this character. I said to Emily, my hope is that she kind of makes a babyface turn really early and then Fisk kills her. Because I just don't think there's much, especially now too, if Matt wasn't with Karen, to be like, oh, maybe they're going to get them back together and there'll be an item, as we'll talk about in a bit. Matt and Karen are fully linked back together, right? So I don't see a place for her in the show. It feels very much like when we talk about this season has those concurrent creators. This still feels like something of like a previous marriage that they've brought along. I didn't want this, this shelf, right, or this TV, right? But my ex didn't have room, so I took it. But man, it's a hassle. It's so heavy. Like, how do I get rid of it? That's what Heather as a character just kind of feels like. It feels like if it's a different show, and I just don't know and I just don't care. It's not anything was bad. I liked her scene with Swordsman. Again, I think I'd almost just rather her just be maybe just completely evil then and just get her to choose scenery a bit. I know they're trying to make me feel torn about this character and maybe feel for her. I do not actively right now, Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if it's just the purpose of this is just to show how much Fisk is fucking with like due process and just jumping through all these hoops to get what he wants essentially by butting up with people. Obviously, the cops have all joined his crew and like they have this hit squad, and now they have this person as well who's essentially overlapping with overwriting like what would otherwise be like a psych eval, like a regular psych eval, and then go through the actual court process as he's talking about there. But you're right that like in terms of her actual, do I have investment in the character? Not really, and I just don't see, as you mentioned, Matt's doing other things. I don't see him kind of trying to shack up with her again or like reconcile or anything like that. So don't really know what the purpose of this role is other than maybe, do you think Jock's going to be like quite a bit bigger character this season? Like he's going to be one of the main people on the crew with Daredevil or something? I feel like maybe they're setting that up a little bit.
I would like that because unless if we have some sort of, because everyone's always speculating, right? Like, is Luke Cage going to pop up as Iron Fist? And maybe there's always a chance that's a surprise. So obviously Jessica's in the season, right? So that could happen. I wouldn't mind him joining the forces, even if he kind of like perishes, because I don't think we're getting maybe we'll get a Hawkeye season 2. I'll take that back, but I don't think we're getting in a way where this guy is going to play a big role in the MCU. Definitely. So I think if there's like a hero's journey a little bit where maybe he's on trial, breaks out, joins up with Matt, and kind of redeem, because he's like on the villainous side. I think in Hawkeye they still established like he was like stealing stuff. I think it was kind of like a Robin Hood sort of stealing from the rich, but still there's some blurriness going on there, right? Still criminal acts. So I hope, but maybe he could also just be tied to Heather's story of, hey, this character was at least in the MCU. It makes her story a little bit bigger if it's a character from a different show. But to your point, like, I think you're exactly right as far as them showing him messing with due process. But at the same time, I know it's not always been due process, but haven't we been doing this since Daredevil season 1 of like, showing, this is how Fisk does it. It's like, we know how he does it. Like, he always finds a way, right? It's always he gives people money, or he finds out that they've had an affair, or they're doing drugs, and he blackmails you, right? And and that's what's worth about Heather. Like, that's not even happening. She just joined him. She's not being blackmailed, nothing like that. She just hated vigilantes. It's like, oh, I'm with you now, Fisk. So that's I'm kind of hoping we say bye this character early on. I hope maybe she does a heroic play and then see Heather till, I don't know, never, I guess, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of done everything to do with this character. So I agree with you on that. Yeah.
So speaking of, we kind of got this information leading up to it, but to speak on the other side of her not getting back with Matt, fully forced here. Not even episode 1. I thought, okay, maybe there's gonna be a build up to it. No, Matt does this whole boat mission, which the boat mission felt very. That's when the show does feel like, oh, it's on Disney Plus. I get it's still on a bigger scale, but it's like big action scene. Matt's falling into like an Uncharted QuickTime cutscene, like water thing. He looks back, the boat's sinking. Stuff we never saw on the Netflix thing, right? We wouldn't see Matt Murdock in like a big water, like whatever, being sucked up. But it's fine. I think it all worked. There's one moment too. They did this a couple times, but this one specifically, and I think they did this last year. But when he was in tuning with his ear sense and it like zoomed in on him and it made the widescreen and a full screen. Very cool. I love when they're doing that type of stuff. It's a good visual flair. But he stops this boat, which that's a boat head that had a bunch of weapons, illegal firearms, all this type of stuff. Stops them, goes home. Karen's training, and right away they just get it on. They establish they're back together. No speeches, no kind of ifs, and, or but, and anything. So how do you feel about that? There's no kind of build up. They're just back as a couple.
Yeah, I mean, we only have 8 episodes. You know, we're already an eighth of the way through this season, and we have a lot of other characters to get to and a lot of big storylines. Especially if you mentioned if we are going to wrap up quote unquote the Kingpin stuff this season, and we got a lot to do. So you know what? We don't need to screw around. Let's just get right into it. We can kind of assume that any gaps of like them getting to this point in the relationship is just covered by the fact that we're in a new season and there could be some amount of time that passed in between. But also like they've known each other for a long time. So I'm sure if they wanted to get together, it's very quick for them to like, you know, skip past some of those early steps and just be there. So yeah, I really like the dynamic so far. It's fun. I like that we're just right into it. And yeah, I mean, I like that they're not, it's not just that she is, you know, his girlfriend or something like that, which can happen in shows like this. Like she has her own storyline going on. She's getting up to stuff. She's training as well, which is fun to see. I thought her two funny things with her though is one, I thought that her wanted poster was very funny. Like the pictures they had were like very, very silly choices.
I think I missed that.
One was like, just like, I don't know, very classic, just, you know, catching like very paparazzi shot. It was very funny looking. And then when she had like her disguise, she just looks like, especially with the eyeliner, she looks so much to me like Olivia Wilde in Tron.
Yeah, she did with that wig for sure,
which took me out of it a little bit because it's kind of goofy. But I like what she's up to so far, and I like what they're doing together. It's fun.
Yeah, as I've said before, never a fan in this iteration. I like Matt with Elektra, and I want Karen to be with Frank. I'm over that. We're going. So in that sense, I'm with Dylan where I didn't need like 2-3 episodes of ho-hum, like, oh, should we do this, blah, blah, blah. I also feel like I'm curious what's going to happen if, again, my pitch, as I talked about this last episode with Kirkland and Newscast, my hope is that, this sounds bad, my hope is that Matt goes to prison in this season, because there's a great story arc in the comics where Daredevil gets locked in the prison, and I think that'd be just so fascinating of Charlie Cox, his rogue gallery, and then it's like, you're like, what if Bullseye, Kingpin, other characters, maybe Mr. Charles, all these characters get locked in prison, and he's in there with them. I've always loved that arc, and I think there's a chance, I'm like 50-50 on that. I think that's actually going to happen. But in that, I think it's a comic arc by Bendis is amazing. So I would love to actually make that a comic versions if it happens. But I think that's just like, I'm curious if that doesn't happen and they win and they get back to normal life, if they're still going to make this relationship work, because it feels like it 2 ways where they're living together. It feels like all they can do is depend on each other. And because there's like a past romantic attraction, all that stuff, you probably fall back into old ways. But 2, when they were reminiscing about Foggy, like Nelson Murdoch and Law, it also feels like it's kind of a trauma bond, right? And I'm not saying that can't survive, but sometimes that's not the healthiest way to have a relationship going, right? So it's like, okay, are they back together because of now all this time we've realized, you know, we do love each other. You're my Mary Jane, you're my Selena Kyle, and that's what we're going to do? Or is it just happening right now? Like if they get back to normal life, are they going to split part ways? Because like what if Karen gets exonerated and she's doing her normal reporting and she's a normal life and doesn't want to be, I guess I can't say that though, Karen always is in the shit now, you know. I feel like she's established she's there, and I think like you said, it's good that she's not just there, she's fighting. I love the she has all these different wigs. I love the connection, because we talked about this last year and it didn't happen because the whole different creators, but then I feel like maybe they had a scene, I don't even think so, but we were talking about like, oh, BB and Karen got to link up because of that history, right? And right away, episode 1, it links up, it refers to that original show show of, hey, he trained me, your uncle means a big deal, and I also kind of got him killed. Because if people don't remember, Karen led Ben Urich to an old folks home that had Kingpin's mother in it for some information. He didn't even know where Karen was taking him. She just did it without his permission, just to like egg him on to crack the story. So I love that connection already, and I hope we get more of that, because it's kind of, they can mirror each other. So yeah, everything with Karen's good. They always have at least good chemistry, so I'll take that. And yeah, I'm curious where that character goes. I also think that if they end up happy, I think there's always a chance he's on the chopping block, but I think I said in our predictions with Kirkland, I don't think they'd take out Foggy and her back to back, because I feel like for original show people might be kind of a slap in the face. So that's why I'm going with my theory of they'll finally be happy, but Matt will end up in a prison. Like, I feel like there'll be something else to break them up that's not death or something like that. Because I know they're going back to some things, but I don't know if you want to lose Karen and Foggy, because I think there's still a lot of people that were burned by that. And I still don't think Foggy's coming back. I know there's always that theory. There was a comic book run where Foggy was alive. I just don't think so, especially I can't remember what they said.
I thought you were on that train last season, though.
I think I was, but now I don't think I am. I think with everything happening with the Punisher special, with Jones coming back, it feels like they have bigger aces in the hole. Like, if they didn't have that stuff, like, oh, maybe they have something back, but it's like, we can move forward. And I just wonder, and especially too, what we'll talk about, I think it makes it more interesting. I guess we can transition there now. There's other stuff in the episode, but we're going to the end. So at the end, terrible position for Daredevil. He's going to meet with Cherry. Cherry, I think they kind of have some text code that he's in trouble, like a yes or no. But anyways, he hits no. Cherry's getting beat up by these cops. He hasn't been beat up in a long, or these, cops, vigil, or the task force, I'll say.
Yeah.
They punch him. Charlie comes in there. He's beating them up. There's a few things in this scene. One, Cherry starts to have a heart attack, and his heart is, palpating. It's going really fast and everything. He gets those flashbacks of Foggy. I feel like, again, that's almost cheap if, like, he's still having minor PTSD about Foggy, and it's like, oh, I'm just alive, right? But the bigger reason is, and we'll talk about something else in the scene that I want to get your opinion on, but they beat it. He's worried about Cherry. He's having his PTSD, his freak out. They beat him down, and they take off his mask, and then boom, 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 everyone gets shot in the head. A knife comes down with a bullseye symbol, just says, "You're welcome." That's another reason I want to get your opinion on this, is because whatever they're going to do, this uneasy relationship or this maybe redemption for Bullseye, if he's dead, that kind of takes out all the drama of that, right? Matt's at his lowest, and to maybe take down Fisk, he has to work with the person he hates the most. Maybe, I don't know.
The person who he almost killed. Yeah.
Well, he did. Well, yeah, right. But he did mean to kill him, right? He threw him off the roof. It's just because he has that healing factor, right? And you could argue, who does he hate more, Kingpin or Bullseye? It's a pretty toss up. I feel like it's any day of the week he might change his mind. So one, what do you think about that save? And two, what do you think about this potential Bullseye redemption arc? We kind of talked about this last season where he went to Nelson and Murdoch. He was like looking at all the posters. I kind of felt like some remorse for that. And now he's saving Matt. Like, how do you feel about that character, who I think they've made pretty gnarly in the show, like not a character you would root for other than having a traumatic childhood? I feel like that's a very hard character to maybe redeem. So what are you thinking about this setup now that we got? He's looking after Matt, I guess. He saved Matt and Cherry's life in this episode. So
yeah, I mean, the action scene itself I thought was really, really well done. Again, just a good claustrophobic space. I thought they used the set very well in there. So I like all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, I feel like if anything, this scene also seemed to me like almost a bit of foreshadow for another like potential downfall for Daredevil in the future, in terms of right now he's like training up Karen. Are we ever going to get a scene where like him and Karen are fighting together, like in a sequence? And how much is he going to be thrown off by the fact that he's like sensing her being there, her in pain, her getting hit, her heart rate increasing and stuff like that. So I feel like we're going to get that again in this season, and obviously that's like his weakness here, is he just is getting so distracted, and if his senses are being pulled to this other thing, then his senses are not on what they need to be, which is like dodging 7 guys coming at you at the exact same time. So they had him dead to rights, and then he got very lucky there, because it almost was going to be that storyline of him going to prison like you mentioned, but at least the cowl or the mask was taken off there, so at least some of these cronies learned who he is as well. And I guess I don't know if they're dead or not.
I think they're dead. I think they were headshotted. I think there's a couple guys that had
Did
bullets
all
through
of
the
them
eyes,
die
so.
though? I guess we're assuming every
Yeah.
single one of them is dead then.
I can't speak to that, but I just feel like,
Because there was a
bullseye
lot
don't
of them,
miss,
and
so.
some of them were already knocked out. I guess some of the ones that were knocked out didn't see his face,
Yeah.
presumably. But yeah, I guess for the sake of the identity not getting out, I'll assume that Bullseye did kill the rest of them in that sequence there. So all that stuff I thought was great, and yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, like this, the there's a reason Bullseye didn't come in the room and then throw like knives and stuff. He just like stayed out the window
Yeah.
because he's probably trying to keep his distance here for good reason. So I feel like that tension between them, the drama, is going to be pretty juicy, pretty titillating, I think. So I don't know. I wonder. I can't wait till we get a scene of them actually having a conversation, because I feel like Matt's going to be either he's going to try and kill him again, which I doubt. I think he's kind of maybe past going for the now that he's out of the heat of the moment. But I feel like it's going to be one of those things of like, yeah, you can help me, but then I want you going to prison afterwards, which is like, I don't think
Yeah.
Bullseye is going to go for that part of the plan. So we'll see what happens there. But either way, I feel like there could be some, really, really good drama between those two. And then, presumably, Daredevil brings him in because he needs the help. And then you get another sequence of Bullseye and Karen as well, and that could be another really intense scene as well. So yeah, I think this is gonna be good fun. I really, really was happy that we got that little teaser at the end of the episode.
I would love it if you get a situation where Matt / Daredevil is okay, we'll work together, figure out later, and if Karen maybe tries to take Bullseye out, and that because remember Karen is a bit more, I'll say, nicer on Frank, right? I feel like anytime Karen and Matt have talked about Frank, he's always like, hey, Frank should be locked up, he's sick, he needs help. And Karen's like, well, he's been through some stuff and he's hurting bad people. So I feel like she's more on, I don't think she's actively trying to kill people, but I think there's definitely a few lines or people that she would be fine with it happening. So I would kind of love if there was like a backdoor plan by Karen to like, okay, I'm going to let him help us out. But at one point, like if I get the opportunity to take you out, I'm taking it. And I would love that as like, maybe that's, I don't necessarily need them to break up, but if that's maybe a point of contention with them as far as like, well, should we not get him to prison? And she could also call him out like, hey, you tried to kill him once, why can't I, etc.
Right.
Obviously don't talk about the healing because then that just takes the drama out of it. If it's like, oh, I can just heal, so that's gone. But maybe she doesn't know that, doesn't remember. Maybe she has some, adamantium bullet, something like that, right? Like some smoking gun. So let's take our last ad break and we'll be right back and I'll share some Bullseye thoughts. And we're back. But for myself, I love the Bullseye character. I know I'm excited to see how Kirkland feels this season because he's always very iffy of that character. But I think that character is just the best kind of thing we've talked about before, like just like chaos theory. Like he just comes in there and you don't know what's going to happen, right? You could believe that he's going to work with them, and the second they beat Fisk, he could turn and kill them all, right? Or he's just going to break down and be a blubbering mess. You really don't know. He's very fun, and I love Wilson Biffle as that character. I think he just brings a great unpredictability to him. I saw on the red carpet they asked him about like a special presentation. I would love that. I hope the Punisher one's a hit because I would love just an hour with this guy and what's his mind like, right? Maybe he's a hired assassin after the fact, but I think it's interesting because we get these all the time, right? And it's so fascinating, right? Where we talk about the Star Wars trilogy, the sequel trilogy all the time. I think because he had the love aspect, it was always like, okay, I could see Kylo being redeemed or that sort of stuff, but he's still like a terrorist who helped kill multiple planets, right? But I never think about it that way. I'm like, oh, I can see it. Where like Bullseye, he's killed a lot of people. Really, it's like, let's just say for this argument, he just killed Foggy. But because of how well Charlie Cox acted out and how hurt he was, I'm like, I can't ever feel like I can cheer for this guy. Like, I can cheer for him as like a character I like watching. But can I see him like we get Defenders season 2 and he's on the team? It's like, I don't know. That's the thing, right? It's like it's a interesting character because I never thought they were gonna redeem him. I thought they were gonna go with, and maybe they still will, of just we're going to work together because we both hate Fisk. And then after that, it's either you arrest me or I take you out, and it's fair game till then. And until then, it's a truce, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's it. Is it that? And I think I'm more fine with that opposed to, hey, I made a lot of mistakes. I'm mentally hurt and I'm going to try and fix them. I'm not saying it's an insta-no for me. I just have to think, I do think you need to have that very well written for us as the audience to buy in, especially if Foggy's dead. If there's some stupid thing where it's like he did find Foggy and he's the one who brings Foggy back, like, actually, I didn't kill your friend. I know where then okay. Then the easy redemption, sure.
I gave him my healing factor. So
exactly, right? I knew I regretted it the second I did it. But like, if Foggy is dead, which I hope so, that makes it more juicy of how do you work with and maybe forgive this character, right? Especially Matt Lostheim is a Catholic guy, right? And big thing of multiple religions is the forgiveness and the road to redemption, right? So if he is a practicing Catholic, you would think there should be, in his eyes, there should be a way for, God, what's his name? Benjamin Poindexter to work his way back. But I don't know. And I don't know, even though you said you don't think that, maybe I could see a version. Maybe Punisher does do that where, or not Punisher, Bullseye does that where he does all this stuff and Matt expects a fight and he does just turn himself in. Maybe he goes, you know what? Yeah, I did really screw up. And that's what I mean. That's what I love about this Bullseye character. Or literally the last episode could be they take out Fisk and maybe Daredevil and Bullseye do go at it. It's like, okay, it's over. Now we're going to fight.
I mean,
to
I could
the
see
death,
him,
you know?
he's the kind of guy who would take out Fisk and then maybe take his own life too. I could see him going that route.
100%. That's the thing with Bullseye. It's like
With
you
some
could see-
crazy wanted level, like curved knife.
Yeah.
And, it was
And he has Matt do it. He's like, oh, the only way you can kill me is someone throws and ricochets it 3 times and I backflip into it. I've looked into
I
it.
just do a gainer into the
Yeah.
knife.
So, and that's the thing that all these scenarios we've talked about feel like they would fit this character because he's just erratic, right? So,
Yeah, true. That makes it exciting. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm curious where he goes. And I also feel like because Frank has his own special and he's in the Spider-Man movie, it feels like they're kind of cheating again that dynamic where Daredevil never loves working with people that kill. And it's like, well, Berthold's kind of busy. He has 2 things going on. So Bullseye's kind of that too, right? Where even if they just agree to work together, is Matt just fine with him killing all the vigilantes? Because Matt's trying not to do that, right? So that's where I think that's kind of a bit of a cheat where maybe that feels like that could have been Frank's role. And they're like, well, yeah, he's going to go fight Hulk and be a Spider-Man. So use Bullseye in here. And maybe that, like, I wonder if Bullseye, if his storyline would remain the same if Bernthal was still open for business, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited, though, to see where it all goes. So.
And Bernthal's not in this season at all then? Is that confirmed?
I don't think so, no. Especially with that special, I think maybe the most is like an end credit that would maybe like next
that
week,
makes
you know? Yeah, but I don't think he plays any role with that special coming out a week after the finale. I feel like it's almost like it's DLC, you know? It's like oh yeah, here's what Frank's been up to, right? So this is what I was going to ask you, and this is what I still find very curious. I feel like we talked about this many times, and we thought, at the end of the season, because this task force, because of what's happening, and the beginning of last season, they had Fisk and Matt meeting that diner, right? And Matt kind of said, hey, as long as you're just actually mayor trying to do well, I'm going to leave you alone. And Fisk said, hey, I know you're Daredevil, but as long as you're not Daredevil again, I'm going to leave you alone. Obviously, Matt took up the caution from his back. When the cops took up the mask, said, it's Matt Murdock. And anybody, Discord joiner, Discord listeners, on anything like that, if there's anything, actually, hang on, I forgot to shout out the Patreon producers. Big thing, Aaron Brayton, April Darkness, Jack Grant, Superman Mike, God Loves Me 69, AK Norman Rios Fias, Hidalgo, Lenny Kravitz, Cocktail Clay, John with no H, Sam Green, John M. There are 3 tiers. There's 4 tiers. There's a 4th free tier, but there are really 3 tiers. Join them. Best way to listen. Over 50 exclusive episodes this year. That's where we get those Punisher episodes. We get originals, which is us just kind of talking about our lives. We got flashback episodes where we listen to old episodes of Geek First. We got Bread and Butter, that's topic based. We got commentary tracks, the whole shebang. So we very much appreciate it. If you like here, got a little more extra in the wall to spend. We appreciate it because the more you put in the Geek First, the more we put out to you guys. So we thank you very much. But to throw back, why has Fisk not revealed who Matt Murdock is, Dylan Musk? To me, this makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I wonder if
what does Fisk got to lose? You know?
Well, I mean, I think part of maybe his plan is getting, obviously he went for what's his name, Cherry, and as leverage to get to Matt and all this stuff. And so I guess maybe that's the reason why maybe he doesn't want any clues getting traced back to him. And if just like categorically everyone who's like mathematically close to Matt Murdock is just getting killed and disappears, maybe I don't know, maybe that would get then traced back to him as someone who's actively trying to hunt down Daredevil. So maybe he's just trying to do it more maybe he also wants it to be some big huge reveal where he can capture him and then get some big live stream going on some seedy live streaming site because it's banned on Twitch or whatever, and then he can like do the mass reveal live in person. Like that's the kind of thing he would want to do, and that would like discredit this whole this whole lawyer practice and all these people, and do a bunch of nasty things as well. So I think it could be kind of maybe one of those two things. Maybe he loses leverage once he finally gives it away when he doesn't really have a reason to yet. Because already, like, Matt is already in hiding, and he's not. He's kind of going around in public, but he's wearing his hood, he's wearing his shades, and he's being sneaky when he's going to that restaurant and stuff. So yeah, it's like even without having revealed the identity, he's still already having to sneak around and stuff. So I don't know how much the public being like the eyes and ears for Fisk to be like, oh, help us find Daredevil. If you see him, text this number. I don't know if that would really make much of a difference at this point.
Okay, I could maybe get on board. I would love at some point, even if there's a quick conversation with Vanessa of her pitching that, like, why don't we tell people who he is? Especially if maybe a couple episodes they have these traps and they don't catch him, and maybe that's the idea of, hey, what if you told the public who he is and that could help? And Fisk reveals those sort of reasons, just because he led with that, right? Of, hey, if you become Daredevil again, I'm gonna expose you and everything. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't exposed. Maybe it would just become after you. But it just feels like Fisk would also underhandedly just say, hey, even though, like you said, you're right, those people are close to him, maybe it could still help if people, like when he's at the restaurant, if anyone sees him, which he's still hiding, right? He's got a hood and glasses, like you said. But if anyone sees him still, does a hotline, or maybe he thinks that's gonna hurt, right? Maybe people like Karen and him would just be texting that number like incorrect information, or they'd be using that as a trap. So again, I just want some clarification of it's not a negative yet, but I want to know Fisk's actual thinking of why wouldn't you throw this out there potentially to other people? Because we got that confirmed that all they said that Matt Murdock was missing in the show to the public. Again, this is the second time in his life he's been missing. I would never hire this lawyer. This guy in Daredevil season 2, or in, what was it, Defenders, a building blew up. He was gone. Now he's just missing again. If he's your lawyer, man, this sucks. You can never get a hold of this guy,
Dicey for sure.
Just like his partner, who's just like, I guess, alone now at that firm, right? She was working with him, doesn't know where Matt is, and she's just alone now, carrying the load. And that's where, again, same thing. I don't care that much about that character. She was in last season, and the 2 scenes showing what's going on. That's fine. I don't know if I need it written out like Heather, but keep it to that kind of amount, and I think I'm okay with what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we gonna get a courtroom scene this season?
Because
might be the first time we haven't in the Daredevil season.
I feel like because I don't know what's going to happen, he made that call to Heather, whoever that other cop was or whatever he was. He worked as he was another lawyer. I feel like we could see the swordsman trial or part of it, right? Because that's whatever his name is. I
don't think he's even going to get to trial. I feel like this guy's just locked up without even getting a trial, is the perception I have. But I guess, part of the season is them overcoming that. So yeah, maybe that's Matt's big. Maybe they did want one big courtroom scene, and maybe it's that one that he comes in for or something.
Like, I could see that, which would be big, because then he would reveal where he is, though, right? And that's a moment where, if he goes into court, why would Fisk then at that point not say, hey, that's Daredevil, and then everyone arrest him right there, not even wait, and they would jump on him, right? Because
maybe Fisk needs better proof or something too, because if he just goes on TV and says I guess everyone in the town pretty much just believes whatever he says at this point, based on that video, the classic BB street people on the street videos that we got here. So maybe it would work. I guess it probably would.
Also, the reason I think the trials, because they mentioned them multiple times, the trials are going to begin for they have some act name, and then also
they're very stressed about that.
Yeah, and then also led to Karen.
I just didn't know if that meant that he was the one doing that, or if someone else is. But
I don't think he is. I think he's just aware of it, because Karen asked oh, do you ever miss Matt Murdock? And that's when they start talking about Nelson and the avocados and stuff. So that's where I don't know if you'll see it, but I could see swordsman trial, and I could see, unfortunately, he might say some stuff he's not supposed to, and I could actually see him perishing there. Maybe he joins Matt, but I also see him just being killed on the stand before he says maybe some stuff that's against Fisk even more. So I don't know, but I think we'll get I'm going to say 2, Dylan. I'm going to say the trials here, and then maybe one at the end when, if my theory is wrong and Matt Murdock doesn't go to prison, maybe the end of the last season or last episode is him back in the courtroom doing his thing. He's back there, and it's kind of good to be back, happy to meet Matt Murdock. So I'm going to say 2, Dylan. 2 out of the 8 episodes. Okay. We're going to get that. So
fair enough.
Let's see. I know I had one more note. You just talked about that. Because we talked about this, I think, when a trailer came out. We're like, what the hell's going on? We got that answer of Fisk, where he has the weird face, and he's the skinnier version. It's in the room.
the hunka news vibes that was going on there.
100%. Yeah. So I love that. Where clearly it is BB doing both casts, I would imagine, right? Because we got to see the whole, okay, she's doing what she said. She's putting out kind of puff pieces for Fisk as far as, oh, New York's never been better. And the crime rate, they just show happy people with the task force having a good time. Even that one guy says, like, oh, yeah, this is the best ever been. And when the camera goes off, he looks a little disheveled, right? Like he's probably just saying this because he's fearing for his life, right? He doesn't want to get profiled or anything. But then after that, you're getting these, hunk of very anti-propaganda all about Fisk, and they're revealing everything as far as like, oh, what's on the boat. They're talking about him killing Ben Urich, everything like that. So I really enjoyed that. I know we talked about last year how many of the BB report stuff could have been used a little bit more, just felt like some kind of exposition filler. But I think if I'm hoping this is BB doing this, that gives her character a sense of urgency and purpose as far as, okay, man, Karen are doing all this stuff, but sometimes some of these heroes can do something, or these side characters, okay, what did you really do here? Like, what did you do the group project? At least, like, this could be BB's way as if the tide turns on Fisk, she's like, oh yeah, I did those things. I did those news reports, everything to go, okay, one, it ties back into he killed her uncle, and that's karma. But two, it gives this character some urgency and not just, okay, she's a reporter in New York that's seeing some shady stuff, which is like, okay, good, but you still need her to have some plot point, right? So I was liking the those newscasts. So
yeah, I agree. Yep.
And then the last thing I was gonna say, we told us before, how you feeling with the black suit, seeing it in action, looking at it, got the double D's finally.
It's fine. I don't love it, but I'm not against it. It's decent enough.
I love it as like a season suit. I don't think I would ever make this the full-on suit, but but I've always been, this is a suit similar to one in the Shadowlands. I still like that it has the red underneath it, so it just almost feels like it's his permanent stealth suit. But I think there's also a fun thing about that where, even though I want them to keep the double Ds, I think as the season goes on, if more of that paint wears off, if there is an idea of him becoming the hero and them casting Fisk out as far as slowly but surely the Reds coming back in Daredevil, almost like the opening credits where it's the buildings falling and reassembling. I think there's something there. But also, again, if I'm right and he gets arrested, then that doesn't really make any sense because he won't be wearing that suit. So, yeah. Was there anything else we missed? Anything else to hit on?
Not too much. There was that scene at the restaurant with the lady who's kind of helping people get out of New York. But I don't know if I have much to say on that yet. I feel like that is very much a little slow burn. We're going to get more going on there. The other, just quick shout out, is that other, because there's 2 interrogation scenes in this episode, but you said his name was Buck, is that right?
Buck, yeah.
Yeah, with Buck, I thought, I loved his performance in that scene. I thought that was a really compelling scene, that he like was trying to get the task force guy to have some humanity, but then he just headshots this guy and kills him anyway. And then when it like zooms out, I thought the lighting was gorgeous in that shot. I just thought it was really really well shot, that scene. So I wanted to shout that one out.
Yeah, no, I like that character because I remember last season we're a little iffy. He's kind of like a replacement for that Wesley character in the original show, right?
Right.
So I think last season he's a little wooden. So yeah, I like that. And again, still he at least did put the guy out more humanely, right? Like he did kill him, but he did just like a gunshot to the head instead of like ripping his ear off and everything. So it is a bit nicer at least. So I'm interested to see that dynamic. And I think like we talked about last year too with I can't remember, I think it's Michael Gandolfini, the guy that's like likes BB and she's getting info from him. I'm curious what they could do more with him this season because we kind of felt like we liked him, but he was a little underbaked. So I don't know. Maybe he's just going to get taken down because Fisk gets taken down and c'est la vie. But no, I like that scene, and I'm also very ready for this task force to get completely taken out, especially that one guy. I like that they did bring him back. I don't know if you remember from last season. He was like the main task force guy. He like got into it with Matt a couple times. Sometimes those characters in between seasons can just get forgotten. It's like, oh, here's a new leader of the task force, right? Yeah. He had that great scene where he's sitting on a chair talking to Frank, and there's all the task force behind him. They still even have the Punisher symbol. It's smaller, but they still have that symbol. So again, it does feel a little odd with Frank. Maybe his special will go into that if it does, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, anything else on this show before I just throw some other news at you here quickly?
No, I think that's all my notes for this episode here.
Okay, so I'll throw. So obviously, I don't think you've watched this yet. You haven't watched Wonder Man yet, right?
No, but now that I subscribed to Disney Plus again, maybe I'll try and watch it while Daredevil's going on.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you'd like it.
Especially now that more is on the way.
Well, yeah, that's the big news that we were kind of surprised about this week because that show, talking about lack of promotion like Daredevil, that was put out there, not much out there, and it was the binge drop, right? So it's kind of, we've got this feeling before when they do the binge drop, it's kind of like, we just want to push this aside, right? And then it gets the release, or gets the confirmation yesterday that they're doing a season 2. It's very exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to watch. Also, we'll talk about next year for Golden Geeks. I said this before, the Ben and Trevor, or not Ben, that's Ben Kingsley, the Simon and Trevor connection, one of my favorite duos in the MCU, Dylan. I think you're really going to enjoy their connection. I think they've done some great things with that character, all the way from like Iron Man 3 to now. There's some great reflections. There's a couple really good just single episodes, and I think this fits with what I've talked about a few times. We've talked about like what are they doing with Disney Plus, Marvel, and everything. I think they are going back to, we even talked about this in the non-spoilers, where I think the new method is the old method, where it's, we're going to have more street level or cheaper shows that could kind of connect, where before it's like, okay, the Netflix shows, they connected a little, but you didn't see them in movies. I think it's that, where it's like they connect a little more, and Daredevil could be in a movie, Punisher could be in a movie. I don't think you're ever going to get like, oh, the first appearance of Kang is in a TV show. Like Wanda's kids.
It's got Mephisto in a TV show, so.
Yeah, but that's even like, he could be a Disney Plus.
But that was still the old era TV show.
Yes, yeah. Like, I feel like now it's gonna be stuff where, okay, sure, they can come play in the sandbox, but you're never gonna see something massive set up in these TV shows. And that's where when you watch Wonder Man, it's very much like by itself. It's in the MCU. There's tons of allusions and talked about things that happen in the MCU, but never like, you literally could watch a show and it could never connect to MCU, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I guess it's just a superhero show, right? So I think they're gonna do that a lot more now, and it makes sense. And for myself, that I think I gave it like a 7.5. I think it was very more enjoyable than I thought. I'm excited to see more, and I honestly thought I'd never see more of this duo again, and that excites me. So that's, I don't know what the season is or the year is, but I think they'll, even Punisher from season 1 to season 2 was 1 year. I think if Yaya and Ben Kingsley aren't busy, it wasn't really a effects heavy show as well either. So I think a lot easier to shoot. Like there's some, but nothing crazy, you know. So
did it end in a way that? I'm guessing it didn't end in a way that was like big cliffhanger. It was like probably pretty succinct, and like could if it was one season, you would have been happy with it ending there. Or did it leave a lot of loose threads? No,
I would say it was in the middle, where there wasn't a single cliffhanger, but also felt like, oh, there's still a lot more we could do here. It felt like you could end the show and be, okay, this was Wonder Man, cool. But it also felt like, oh, there's a couple of ventures here that are open that we could go down that road on, especially the last few minutes. So, but it didn't end in a way where like, he has his hand, someone has a gun, someone shoots, and it cuts to black. You know, nothing like that. We're like, did he die or something? So you got that. And then, they dated. We talked about this a few times already, but they dated. It's called, Dylan, The Punisher, One Last Kill. It's coming out May 12th.
Giving me the Last Dance vibes. So I don't love that.
It's coming out May 12th. It's going to be 60 plus minutes. So, probably just under an hour of the credits. Yeah. Let me hit you with this synopsis. I had a good laugh with this one. As Frank Castle searches for meaning beyond revenge, an unexpected force pulls him back into the fight. That is what the Punisher special is about. Okay. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, for you, it probably means a lot. For me, it's so vague that I don't really know what to take from that. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm a little pissed because it comes out when I'm on my trip. I'll be I will not be on the episode, unfortunately.
They always get you.
But I'll of course what we've been watching. As soon as I get back, I'll be watching that for sure.
For sure, yeah. And I feel like I'm hoping we're going to talk about Golden Geeks. That's why I'm hoping it's that good. But no, for me, Dylan, I don't know what's alluding to. It's no story. I guess there's two things I take from this. The One Last Kill, there's three things. Is it just a cool title? Is it, again...
Is it a cool title?
Well, I just mean we need something. Okay. One Last Kill. Sure. Is it just like a meaningless title in a sense, right? Like even the home titles, like sure, Homecoming, Far From Home, they're very literal.
Well, don't get me started on that. Brand New Day, geez.
But is it just marketing? Is it One Last Kill, my favorite storyline where, Frank finds one more person that hurt his family, so we got to find them, because that was a running gag in the Punisher show where it's like, it was this person. Actually, it was this person. That happened like 3 or 4 times. Or what I'm very worried about, and that's what I'm with the synopsis, I think it's going to allude to, and I hate this, Dylan. I think we've talked about this. We kind of bagged on this many times in the Punisher show. I think it's going to open up with him killing some dude, and then again for like the 50,000th time, Frank Castle's going to be like, you know what? this is the end of the Punisher. I gotta stop. And especially, I don't get me wrong, I could see why it's warranted from a character perspective, because I think last season when he saw all those assholes wearing his symbol, he probably did think, man, I've probably screwed up. Like, people have taken the wrong message from this. Like, look, all these people that are hurting innocent people wear my logo. This is bad. But we talked about this where when Daredevil season 2 started, he was the Punisher. He got his revenge in the family. He quit being the Punisher. When Punisher season 1 opened, he killed some people, quit being the Punisher, and then got brought in, and then on the Punisher. Season 2 started, did some kills. I'm not the Punisher. I'm back. He has quit and restarted a couple times. Even with last Daredevil season, luckily he said he couldn't help Matt because he was on a mission. He was locked down in his little bunker watching all these TV shows. Yeah. But he still did the classic. Anytime he's on a sabbatical, long hair, big beard, he's not doing anything. So it's just like, I just love that. What are the pitch rooms for these Punisher stories? Like, hey, I got it. What if Frank decided to stop killing, but something brings him up? Like, can we get anything original? So again, I will wait to see a trailer and what we actually get here. But that synopsis again just feels like we've seen this now 3 times with not just it. It'd be different with Punisher. We've seen this with John Berthol's Punisher. Yeah. Like this exact storyline again and again. Like, just have him be Punisher. Stop. And we know he's going to be Punisher. There's no, like, imagine if he wasn't in Daredevil and they're like, hey, we're doing the special. And I don't think they would, but we could speculate, oh, maybe they're going to do a Logan and kill him off. Maybe he's done. But it's like, in 5 months from now or 4 months from now, he's popping around, quit your whimpering, and he's running around with Spider-Man. So this whole idea of like, oh, he's searching for something beyond.
He's got the dark passenger, Travis. He just can't let it go, you know?
I'm over it, you know? I'm done. Like, the only good thing the new seasons of Dexter have done that he's just been like, you know what? I'm just a killer. I got to rock with it. Trying to stop has been a bad thing. And you know what? That took 3 different versions of the show and like 15 years to get there. But I hope we can just, maybe Spider-Man will be that. Or I wonder, Dylan, with the One Last Kill, and this is what I wonder if people get really fired up. Do you think there's a chance he could go into Spider-Man Brand New Day and he's a vigilante, but he's no longer a killer? I think that'd be very controversial.
That does feel more Spider-Man-y, right? Spider-Man being a bit more PG.
PG-13, yeah. Right? And that's what I wonder, too, is like, I feel like fans are going to flip their shit if that happens. If he's like, you could do PG-13 killer Punisher, but if he's like, I'm no longer taking lives, I think a lot of people are like, oh, they ruined him. Spider-Man ruined him.
Yeah, like if it feels like, oh, this is a Disney Punisher, people are like, oh, I don't know if I like that so much.
So that's why I just wondered if that One Last Kill is literal.
But you know what? You can't kill Hulk, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's like trying, but you just can't do that.
You could kill Scorpion though. He's in there, and you could take Scorpion out easily. You know. You think, I won't say easily, but
yeah, I was gonna say, is that easy?
I think the MCU Scorpion could.
You know, Scorpion's got like healing or something too, just like everyone else.
Okay, I'm sure. And one of the shots in the trailer is the villain Boomerang. I think Frank Castle can take out Boomerang. You know,
Boomerang.
Yeah, there's Boomerang. There's Boomerang. There's Tarantula. There's Tombstone. There's Scorpion. They got a lot of like B, C tier characters confirmed. So
I haven't seen the trailer yet for that.
Oh yeah, you'll see him. He's chucking boomerangs in the trailer.
Is he better or worse than, was it Captain Boomerang from Squad?
Oh, worse. Yeah, and I could be wrong. Let me just fact.
Is he going to use an iPhone to like track his opponents like Captain Boomerang did?
He could. Oh, yeah. His name is just Boomerang. He could. We didn't get to see that, but I would say Captain Boomerang is better on the DC side because at least he becomes a Suicide Squad member. This guy's just like a D tier villain, but I think Frank could kill him. So if it's like Frank's not killing him, I'm very curious how people react to that. You know. So
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. But that is the little news there, and that is our review for Daredevil Born Again, the season 2 premiere. We'll be back next week with episode 2 and 3, a double header, and we'll see who's joining us. And I promise you, it'll not be boring.
Good night.